So, not the smartest financial decision on my part, but not the dumbest one either. I'll explain why later. These are a pair of Mission 752 Freedom standing loudspeakers. So apparently these were made in the 90s, and back in the day I've heard they were decently high end. And you can tell that they're decently high end because when you knock on the wood, it doesn't sound extremely hollow. The wood sounds like it's high quality, which means the rest of the speaker should be higher quality as well. This specific pair was bought secondhand by me as a broken set. So these are not working, or at least not working properly. So these were selling for 150, and when I bought it, it said both tweeters very soft sound, but the mid bass driver working fine. Cabinet still looks great. Made in England, selling as parts, no testing, and the brand is Speaker. So they were selling for 150, and when the guy told me, you know what, you can have it for 100 if you just come down today and get it from me, I was like, sure, cause these, if they're fully working, they go for around like $200 to $300. That's a pretty good deal for a pair of speakers, for a pair of high-end vintage speakers, you know. And I was looking for another pair of speakers just for fun, you know, just to listen to them. So when these popped up for $100, $50 for repair, 150, that's around my budget. You know what? Fine. But it's already all going wrong. So quick crash course if you don't know how a speaker works. These two are what are called drivers. Some speakers have more, some speakers have less. And usually they have two. One is called a tweeter and one is called a woofer. So the tweeter creates high frequencies, like the t sound of a cymbal. And this is what creates most of the other sounds. The mids and the bass are all created with the woofer. So how it works is that there's magnets and there's coils inside, and it's connected to this diaphragm, and when electricity passes through it, it goes woo, 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 it moves in and out, creates waves in the air, and that creates pressure in the room that causes pressure to be in our ears, and that's how we hear the sound. And you know what connects these two together? So this is what the speakers terminate in, and if you unplug it, you can see this. This is what is called a crossover. And basically what a crossover does is that it basically assigns what frequencies each driver plays. So the tweeter, it assigns you play the higher frequencies, and the woofer, you play the rest, the lower frequencies. Right, so why am I telling you all this? So remember how it says both tweeters very soft, but the mid-bass driver working fine. So what could be happening is that the capacitors that's making everything work in the crossover, they get old, and when they get old, they need replacing. Sometimes when it gets really bad, you know, one of the drivers just do that. They get really soft because the frequencies aren't passing through to that driver anymore, or there's distortion and it sounds weird. All sorts of things could happen, and the capacitor should be quite cheap, I think. Which is why I bought these. I was like, okay, $100 for the speakers, $50 for the repair, and because the repair will be just, if it's the capacitors, it will be just replacing the capacitors. You know, that will just be it. Remember how he said the mid-bass driver working fine? As you can see, the condition isn't very nice, and stupid me forgot to check this because I was busy checking the actual cabinet itself instead of checking, you know, the important parts, the drivers. First problem we see here, like the most obvious problem, is that, look at this. This is apparently what's called aerogel coated paper, or aerogel paper. I saw this somewhere, I'm not sure if it's right or not, but whatever it is, you can see how it's basically flaking off and it's becoming cracked and sticky. Yeah, that's not supposed to happen with a good speaker, but you know what? That's not that bad. But what's really bad is that you see this line here. Yeah, that's a crack in the rubber. Apparently, you can just glue it, and it will be fine. But I don't want to do that, but I think I'd have to. Yeah, one more problem is that it just falls out. I think it just glues on to make it look nicer, but bruh, it just falls out. It's the same on the other side, by the way, without the crack. Wow, what the hell? Is my nails causing that? Holy crap, what? Why? So yeah, that's not... So the crossover wasn't the only thing wrong with it. But this should not affect performance too much. Not to the degree where I'm like, I can't listen to this anymore, you know? I hope. So now I'll have to go and search up what capacitors it is that I need to replace and what I need to buy basically, where to buy them, and also I have to ask my guy who knows a lot about speakers what glue I need to fix the speaker cones with. Yeah, I just need to mend that crack, to be honest, that's about it. But the capacitors, I hope that fixes the problem, because you want to hear what it sounds like now? Yeah, it sounds like I'm underwater. Like the mission speakers, they sound like you're listening to them underwater. Um, that's not good though. This is actually insane. So I'm here at Simlim Tower, right? And I've searched like 10 stores for the two capacitors that I need. So I need the micropride one for my mission speakers, and I need another one for Yodi's turntable, right? After searching 10 stores, this store, beautiful store by the way, finally has Yodi's one. But not mine. I don't know how that is. Never mind, false flag, they don't have it. Apparently they misheard me and they thought it was like 250 volt, which is a reasonable number. But it's actually 2500 volts, which is a very unreasonable number. How did it even make sense? Where I've walked every single store here, or not every single one, most of the stores here, and all the famous ones that have capacitors. Yeah, not a single one of them has the capacitors that we need. You know what they say? There ain't no mountain high enough. There ain't no valley low enough. And there ain't no river wide enough that'll stop me from getting to that capacitor, man. Since when was this here? Based?
啊，
所以22会比15多 treble
不是粗一点，
粗一点哦，
粗一点
前面往前面一点，
粗一点啊，
哦
粗你知道粗吗？rough 啊
rough
粗一点啊
哦
，more
哦
mid more mid 啊，如果你要你要很 fine 的话呢，你就要用10。Let me know you want to listen what vocal or musical or more bass or what?
Actually, I like it to be clearer.
Oh,
Like,
clear
yeah.
this one can.
Clear this one can.
This
Oh, okay.
You want more bass this one cannot.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Should really go get a multimeter and measure my capacitors if they're actually working or not. So you may have noticed that the sound quality has changed, and you also may have noticed that I'm not holding a mic. Now, from that you could have deduced that I got a new mic. It is a Rode Video Mic Pro, and I got it for like $100. Now, I am back from that damn tiring trip to Simlim Square. Well, in the end, I didn't get those two capacitors, but I did learn a few things. First thing I learned on Yodi's side was that apparently back in the day, they just didn't know the voltage that it was gonna be at or whatever, so they just put 2500 volt capacitors there in place of the actual voltage that it was supposed to be at. So you don't actually have to get 2500 volts. You just have to get the volts that, you know, it's passing through the capacitor. So yeah, the second thing I learned on my side was that no one sells the capacitors that I use. Like no one sells them anymore. I searched Simlim Tower, I searched Simlim Square, and I searched yeah, that's about it. I searched online as well, yeah. It exists. I know it exists. But it's just no one has it in stock, you know. Well, apparently you could use some other capacitors, which I did buy, because crossovers, they were designed to handle like a range, like plus 5%, minus 5%. I think I heard somewhere that that's where it should be. So what I ended up doing, because I can't find any of my actual capacitors, the guy who fixed speakers at Simlim Square, the tech shop, he fixed speakers for a living, right? He recommended 22 MFD at 100 volts. Okay, so the original one that I owned, that's on the crossover right now, is 15 MFD at 50 volts. Apparently the voltage doesn't quite matter. As long as it's higher, it should be okay. The reason why I got these two was that I don't want to leave my speakers like this. You may have noticed I took out the drivers because I need to seal the crack as well. Yeah, it's a hassle and an eyesore, to be honest with you. So I want to get it done as soon as I possibly can. And if I do happen to chance upon those rare 15 MFD, I'll desolder these and I'll solder back on the 15 MFD. Right. Well, you may have noticed that I took off the drivers as well. Look at how big the tweeter magnet is on this thing. It is huge. Now, the reason why I did it is because I still need to fix the speaker surrounds. I need to glue them together, you know. And I couldn't, for the life of me, get the bottom driver off because of how absolutely insanely heavy and stuck to this it was. So I had to take off the tweeters. Now, it was such a process because I had to use 2 screwdrivers and I had to slowly use a lever action and gouge it out until it went out. And I had to reach my hand in and it went like poof and I pushed the woofer out. Yeah, that's how I got it out. So yeah, on that topic, I also got some white glue. Now these are apparently what people use to fix speaker surrounds. So hopefully I have all the stuff I need to fix the speaker's crossovers. And I hope the speaker crossover is the only problem and the surround that is. Well, I'll see you guys on the fixing montage or something. I don't know. Alright, I got my Rode video mic set up. I got my DAP connected to the amplifier. I'm going to test if switching out the capacitors actually worked. Alright. Fuck! It didn't work. Still sounds like you're under. Okay, something's wrong. Fuck! Oh no! Damn it! Why? Why did I have to drop it? Oh no!